This video explores theoretical biological concepts and extreme deep-sea survival scenarios for educational purposes, and does not encourage dangerous acts. Our planet is fundamentally defined by water. A vast, majestic wilderness covers more than 7% of the globe, hiding secrets older than humanity itself, within the crushing depths. For millions of years, the sunlit surface waters of Earth served as a stage for the most spectacular displays of evolutionary power. 23 million years ago, during the dawn of the Miocene epoch, the oceans birthed a masterwork of biological engineering. Megalodon emerged not merely as a participant in the marine ecosystem, but as the absolute pinnacle of predatory evolution. Fossil records, meticulously gathered from continental shelves across the globe, Megalodon reached staggering estimated lengths between 50 and 70 feet. The physical evidence of Megalodon primarily consists of monumental teeth, some measuring a breathtaking 7 inches from root to serrated tip. These fossilized remains tell a story of an apex hunter that possessed a bite force estimated at 40,000 pounds per square inch, capable of shattering the ribs of the largest whales to ever navigate the ancient seas. Mainstream paleontology maintains a definitive narrative regarding the fate of Megalodon. According to the scientific consensus, Megalodon officially went extinct 2.6 million years ago, precisely at the end of the Pliocene epoch. The official record states that as global ocean currents shifted and the planet's temperature plummeted, the world descended into a new ice age. The warm, vibrant coastal ecosystems Megalodon relied upon collapsed. As prey migrated toward freezing, nutrient-rich polar waters, Megalodon was left behind. Science dictates Megalodon simply starved, freezing to death as the oceans cooled, leaving nothing behind but scattered ivory monuments buried in the sediment. However, humanity possesses an enduring fascination with the unknown, and sensationalized modern theories have aggressively challenged this extinction timeline. Popular internet lore dictates Megalodon escaped the freezing surface waters by plunging into the pitch-black abyss of the Mariana Trench. These theories argue Megalodon survived the Pliocene extinction event and grew to unimaginable sizes. These theories argue Megalodon survived the Pliocene extinction event and grew to unimaginable sizes of 80 or even 100 feet through a recognized biological mechanism known as deep-sea gigantism. Of 80 or even 100 feet through a recognized biological mechanism known as deep-sea gigantism. This narrative paints a picture of Megalodon as a terrifying, slow-moving leviathan, haunting the freezing depths where
This narrative paints a picture of Megalodon as a terrifying, slow-moving leviathan, haunting the freezing depths where light never penetrates.
Yet, when subjected to the unforgiving laws of applied biological thermodynamics, this popular theory shatters completely. The assumption that Megalodon could simply adapt to the crushing, freezing void of the Mariana Trench fundamentally misunderstands both marine biology and the brutal physics of the deep ocean. Deep-sea gigantism is indeed a documented scientific reality, but deep-sea gigantism applies exclusively to slow-moving, cold-blooded invertebrates. Species such as the giant squid or the giant deep-sea isopod thrive in the abyssal zone precisely because these invertebrates possess remarkably slow metabolic rates. The freezing water, hovering just above 34 degrees Fahrenheit, does not harm the giant squid. The freezing water preserves the giant squid, allowing the invertebrate to expend almost zero energy,
while waiting for sparse meals to drift downward. Megalodon represents a completely different biological reality.
Megalodon was a warm-blooded, endothermic titan, similar to modern lamniform sharks.
Megalodon utilized a highly specialized circulatory system to maintain an internal body temperature significantly higher than the surrounding ocean. This physiological marvel of regional endothermy provided Megalodon with a massive evolutionary advantage. A warm internal furnace allowed Megalodon to process oxygen with devastating efficiency, power massive muscle contractions, and sustain the explosive speeds required to hunt massive marine mammals. Megalodon was essentially a biological sports car, built for high-speed, high-energy biological warfare in sun-drenched waters. Descending into the deep ocean introduces an insurmountable thermodynamic wall for such an animal. If Megalodon entered the abyssal zone, it would meet this barrier.
The massive surface area of Megalodon would instantly begin hemorrhaging heat into the freezing water. The laws of thermodynamics dictate that heat always transfers to cold. To prevent freezing from the inside out, Megalodon would be forced to ignite the internal metabolic furnace to maximum capacity. However, maintaining that extreme internal temperature requires a colossal intake of calories. Megalodon would need to consume hundreds of thousands of calories daily just to avoid freezing to death. This creates the ultimate biological paradox. The deep ocean is essentially a nutritional desert. The biomass available at depths of 20,000 feet is a fraction of what exists near the surface. There are no massive pods of blubber-rich whales residing at the bottom of the Mariana Trench. Therefore, Megalodon could never survive by embracing deep-sea gigantism. Megalodon did not slowly adapt to freezing in the dark. If Megalodon attempted to live as a cold, slow-moving bottom dweller, the thermodynamic reality is absolute.
Megalodon would freeze, and Megalodon would starve. The biology of Megalodon outright forbids the traditional deep-sea monster narrative. If we are to accept that Megalodon survived the brutal climatic shifts of the Pliocene epoch, then we must discard the myth of the freezing Leviathan. We must look beyond the barren, icy plains of the trench floors. To sustain a massive, warm-blooded metabolism in the deep ocean, Megalodon required a hidden sanctuary. Megalodon needed an environment that could artificially replicate the warm, tropical waters of the ancient Miocene seas. If Megalodon did not freeze in the dark, Megalodon must have found another path, a path defined not by cold,
but by extreme, localized heat. The true story of Megalodon's survival does not lie in the freezing void, but rather along a hidden, majestic network of subterranean fire, an environment that modern humanity is only just beginning to map. Deep beneath the abyssal plains, where the Earth's crust fractures and bleeds magma into the freezing ocean, lies a magnificent hidden biome. These are the hydrothermal vent fields, towering chimneys of mineral deposits, often referred to as black smokers, erupt with superheated water, reaching temperatures exceeding 700 degrees Fahrenheit. In the pitch-black void of the deep ocean, these vents function as immense, localized suns. The vents generate flourishing, isolated ecosystems fueled by chemosynthesis, teeming with giant tube worms.
However, the most crucial aspect of these volcanic oases is the thermal halo the vents project into the surrounding freezing water. These hydrothermal vent fields create massive, invisible pillars of tropical heat in the deep ocean, creating a stark contrast to the surrounding icy void. If we apply the biological thermodynamics of Megalodon to this environment, a breathtaking evolutionary adaptation reveals itself. Megalodon did not surrender to the cold. Instead of aimlessly wandering the freezing abyssal plains, Megalodon targets these hydrothermal vent fields. By navigating from one volcanic oasis to the next, Megalodon effectively utilizes a global, interconnected geothermal highway. These thermal pillars provide the exact environmental conditions required to sustain the massive endothermic metabolism of Megalodon. Within these invisible columns of heat, Megalodon can thermoregulate efficiently, conserving vital energy while commanding a hidden, hunting advantage, thriving kingdom far below the reach of human observation. Megalodon weaponized the geological instability of the Earth's crust to build an impregnable sanctuary. This paradigm shift completely recontextualizes the classified acoustic data gathered by deep-sea researchers. In the year 2003, renowned marine biologist Dr. Emma Lockhart was involved in a highly classified acoustic mapping expedition near the Mariana Trench.
utilizing advanced military-grade sonar systems specifically designed to penetrate the deepest trenches. The research team detected a massive biological anomaly. The sonar registered a solid biological object moving horizontally at a staggering depth of 20,000 feet. The physical dimensions recorded by the acoustic pulses indicated an animal measuring at least 70 feet in length. Mainstream marine biology immediately dismissed the Dr. Emma Lockhart anomaly,
citing the thermodynamic impossibility of a warm-blooded predator surviving at that freezing depth.
But Dr. Emma Lockhart did not detect a freezing, starving leviathan. When the geographical coordinates of the 2003 anomaly are overlaid with modern topological maps of the Mariana Trench's volcanic activity, a striking correlation emerges. The 70-foot biological object was not wandering randomly. The object was moving precisely along the Mariana Back-Arc Basin, a region violently active with hydrothermal venting. Dr. Emma Lockhart had inadvertently captured acoustic evidence of Megalodon utilizing the geothermal highway.
The deep-sea sonar had pinged Megalodon in transit, riding the thermal currents between deep-sea volcanic oases.
Moving with the purposeful, calculated navigation of an apex predator perfectly adapted to its extreme environment. This hidden migration network extends far beyond the Mariana Trench, wrapping around the globe along complex tectonic fault lines.
Evidence of this global presence surfaced dramatically in the year 2009.
A commercial longline fishing vessel operating off the treacherous coast of South Africa
was targeting Patagonian toothfish at a depth of 5,000 feet. As the crew engaged the winches to haul the heavy-duty steel cable back to the surface, the machinery strained against an impossible, violent resistance. Thick steel hooks were cleanly sheared from the mainline,
and the remaining steel wire bore the catastrophic, frayed damage of a massive predatory strike. Lodged firmly within the mangled wreckage of one remaining hook was a pristine piece of physical evidence. A freshly broken tooth fragment measuring exactly 3 inches across, originating from an undeniably massive biological source. Paleontological analysis of the South African tooth fragment indicates the complete tooth would have measured well over 6 inches in length.
This is a physiological dimension entirely exclusive to Megalodon.
Furthermore, the fragment was not a fossilized relic dredged from the ancient mud. The fragment possessed the structural integrity, coloration, and pristine enamel composition of a modern, recently shed tooth.
Yet, mainstream researchers struggled to explain why Megalodon would be actively hunting at 5,000 feet off the coast of South Africa.
The answer lies directly in the deep topography of the region.
The violent waters off South Africa sit directly above complex underwater ridges and shifting tectonic boundaries,
areas uniquely prone to deep-sea upwelling and intense geothermal activity. The South African incident was not a random encounter in the barren mid-water column. The 5,000-foot depth perfectly aligns with the upper boundaries of specific thermal plumes rising from the seafloor.
Megalodon was likely utilizing an ascending thermal corridor, a vertical extension of the geothermal highway, allowing the massive predator to rise safely from the deeper abyssal oases to intercept nutrient-rich upwellings and deeper diving prey.
The commercial fishing line simply drifted into an active, vertical hunting ground maintained by Megalodon.
Megalodon struck the hooked deep-sea catch with the devastating 40,000-pound bite force. Calculated from the prehistoric fossil record, effortlessly snapping the industrial steel cable and leaving behind a singular, terrifying biological signature in the twisted metal. The majestic reality of Megalodon is not one of slow, freezing decay in a lifeless trench. The reality is an awe-inspiring story of extreme evolutionary resilience and supreme biological engineering.
Megalodon conquered the most hostile environment on the planet by mapping the Earth's subterranean fires. Operating within the pitch-black ocean, navigating by the intense heat and electromagnetic signatures of the volcanic ridges, Megalodon reigns over a hidden global empire.
This geothermal highway system allows Megalodon to traverse the Pacific, the Atlantic, and the Indian Oceans entirely undetected by human satellites and shallow water biology. The deep ocean does not belong to the fragile surface fleets. The deep ocean is a breathtaking network of fire and water. Amidst the eternal darkness, vibrant hydrothermal vents unruled by an ancient architect of death that seamlessly adapted to the planet's most extreme volcanic frontiers. The intersection of the sunlit surface world and the deep-sea geothermal highway is a boundary rarely crossed by mammalian life. To witness the true scale of Megalodon interacting with the modern ocean ecosystem, we must examine the ultimate deep-diving champion of the mammalian kingdom, the modern sperm whale. The adult male sperm whale is a breathtaking biological marvel. Reaching lengths of 60 feet and tipping the scales at an astounding 50 tons. Equipped with the largest brain of any animal known to have lived on Earth. The sperm whale possesses the unique physiological capability to leave the breathable surface and plunge thousands of feet into the crushing, lightless abyss. The primary objective of these monumental dives is hunting the elusive giant squid within the freezing midwater column. For decades, marine biologists assumed the adult sperm whale operated within these deep-sea environments, with absolute impunity, possessing no natural predators capable of challenging.
Such a massive, powerful mammal in the pitch-black depths.
However, photographic evidence gathered by dedicated marine biology research teams operating in the Pacific Ocean has systematically dismantled this assumption. In recent years, researchers studying migrating sperm whale populations have documented a terrifying, unexplained biological anomaly. Several adult male sperm whales have surfaced from extreme deep water dives,
bearing monumental, inexplicably fresh wounds carved into the thick, protective blubber. These wounds are not the superficial, raking suction cup scars left behind by desperate giant squids. Nor are the wounds the relatively small, jagged tears associated with modern killer whale hunting packs.
Instead, researchers have photographed massive, perfectly semicircular bite marks measuring an unfathomable 6 to 8 feet in diameter. The biological implications of an 8-foot bite radius completely rewrite the accepted rules of marine predation. A bite mark of this colossal magnitude requires a jaw structure entirely absent from modern, accepted marine encyclopedias. When specialized marine morphologists digitally overlay the spacing of the individual tooth punctures found within these fresh sperm whale scars, it reveals a pattern.
The biomechanical signature matches only one animal in the history of the planet. The wound geometry perfectly mirrors the reconstructed jaw mechanics of Megalodon.
Operating within the warm, life-sustaining halo of the hydrothermal vent, Megalodon does not suffer the metabolic penalties of the freezing abyss.
Utilizing the powerful, upward-flowing thermal currents generated by the black smokers, Megalodon ascends silently.
Propelled by the localized heat and millions of years of predatory evolution, Megalodon collides with the sperm whale.
The sperm whale survives the encounter, but the sperm whale returns to the light, carrying the undical signature of end.
The deep ocean is a highly complex, three-dimensional landscape defined by the extreme, localized contrast.
Megalodon claimed the most extreme, dynamic, and energy-rich hidden ecosystems on the planet.
Megalodon is waiting, perfectly adapted, ruling a subterranean empire far beyond the reach of the sun. If you were captivated by this deep dive into the hidden evolutionary triumphs of our oceans and the majestic reality of Megalodon,